I hoped you'd come.
You didn't think I'd miss this, did you?
A special Buffy the Vampire Slayer on New Tuesday next.
Hello, hello. I'm Juliet. Psst. We're going to slay. Want to come?
That was a long day, that convention.
It was like 3 days packed into one.
It was wild. Like, we were both, like, I was up at 4. This is funny. We started texting each other at 4 in the morning because she said that you were up at 3.
3, but I had the good grace to wait till 4 a.m. to text.
Well, you were like, I hope your ringer's off. And it was, but I was up because I just flown in from New York. So I'm still on New York times. In my head canon, it's still 7. You texted me. It's just like, oh, I hope you guys are asleep. I'm not. Please, somebody talk to me. I can't sleep. I'm scared. I'm in a hotel. I don't know. The hotel looks like a mullet.
Actually, yeah, because the hotel it was misleading because from the front, it looked like a hotel, but when you drove in, it looked like a motel. And it was really beautifully, like it was clean, very clean. And they
great hotel.
Yeah, it was lovely. They upgraded. Deb and I were in this incredible room. But it was funny because you texted me that you go, it's like a mullet. And it made me laugh so hard. And Deb was sleeping and I was trying not to laugh loud at you know, to awaken him with my guffaws.
Yeah. So I was like up at 3. I was up at 4. And we were like at the convention till like 10:30, 11. Like 10:30, they threw us out. Like they eventually had to throw us out. So it was just like, you got to go. The cleaning staff's here. We got to get you out of here because it was just a whole day event. We had, so you talked to David Greenwald, and then there was a prom at the end, which was amazing, where you gave away the greatest prize ever, which is the Class Protector Award, a replica, like a perfect replica of that.
Did I hear Deb coming to correct?
Deborah corrected me. You heard
that? She was trying to correct you even before you said it. I saw your head turn, and you're like, uh-oh.
I saw him flinch.
Deborah. Corrected Deborah. I'm about to say the wrong thing.
Okay, so okay, so this is going to be the prize.
Oh my God!
Before we do that, I cannot decide because I think everyone is amazing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk by each person and I'm going to stand in front of them. And when I do it, I want you guys to do the applause so that everybody group-wise votes. And that will be the winner.
It's an amazing time there. Too bad Chris couldn't make it. And you and Julie Benz had this panel. So you scheduled our announcement at the tail end of this panel you had with Julie Benz.
Yes. And you are never going to let Chris live this down that he wasn't there, right? That's just
yeah. For as long as we're doing this is going to be as long as I'm going to be tortured about missing. Yeah, it kills me every day.
Like I would call him up. It's like, Chris, I know you're enjoying your hot house right now, but we're amazing. We're in the set of Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. How's your sweat? This is what I'm doing.
No big deal.
Yeah, that's all right.
So, yeah, I just want to give everybody a warning. This is from a live event, so it's not up to our usual sound standards, and we cleaned it. We cleaned it up as best we could. So this is from a live event, so please bear with the sound. But we really thought it was so entertaining that we really wanted to include it this week.
We definitely know what we're doing.
Sometimes.
So good to see you all. Good evening, good afternoon. My name is Elisa Hansen. For those of you who don't know me, I am with the chat on YouTube, and I am honored to be here with you today to present the baddest of the bad. Two of our favorite vampires from Buffy. Juliet as Drusilla. Hello. Yep. And Julie Benz.
guess I'm bad.
She's so bad, she doesn't even know she's bad.
That's how you know you're bad.
Exactly.
You feel good about being bad.
We're the baddest of the bad.
So how does it feel being back here at Sunnydale High School?
Oh, you know what's funny is I was saying to my husband this morning, it feels like those dreams you have when you're back at high school. But usually it's like you're at your locker and all of a sudden you realize you have no underwear on, or you're naked, or you're in the school play and you don't know the dialogue, or it's one of those kind of dreams. So it's sort of like that without the nightmare element.
I mean, I don't remember the combination to my locker. No,
I usually do.
I don't think I filmed. Did I do a scene here? You did. Somebody stand up and tell me what scene I did here.
The first soundstage, wasn't it? No, it was built, so some of our interiors, like when I killed Kendra in the library, I actually didn't shoot it here. It was a built set. So it's funny because neither of us, I actually shot on some streets nearby, but I had never shot at the high school. So for us, we're like, oh, wow, this is cool.
I do think I shot something else here.
You don't know
Because it looks familiar to me. But I don't remember. I'm so old.
200 years, you know.
I'm over 400.
I was lying about your age. I said you said 200.
Yeah, I mean, I'm 452 years old. So.
Thank
you. I kill people. I drink the blood of virgins. Which means you're all safe.
There were a few kids in there. Come on. We're not that bad.
So, Drew and Darla, mother, grandmother, daughter.
I'm the mothership. I'm like this mother spaceship that spawns. Exhausted.
Do you guys have you guys seen the movie Chinatown? Yeah. You know how I do like my sister, my mother, my sister, my mother. I always felt like this is basically grandma, daughter, grandma, daughter.
So playing bad guys, playing villains, was working on Buffy your first time being villainous?
For me, I had done a film prior, which was the first villain I ever played. And it was funny because it was this independent film where the director based my character on his ex-girlfriend, who was the most horrendous, bitchy character. And it's this black comedy where I'm actually more evil than the serial killer who lives next door. And it was so liberating. I was so just spewing stuff, and this character was so narcissistic that they actually had, the set had like hundreds of pictures of myself in my house, including these huge like Andy Warhol prints in multicolors of my face, like, you know, so Drew was my second villain and a very different character,
Very different.
Really fun.
I mean, I started in comedy, so I never thought I would ever be playing such an evil character. But I did do an episode prior to this of Diagnosis Murder, where I played a psycho killer ice skater. It was kind of like the Tom Harding story, but like as dark as Diagnosis Murder would get. So yeah, so I mean, I would say Darla was definitely my first villainous villain.
Definitely your first vampire, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So how did you prep for the role? Very different villain from what you were before.
Well, each character is its own kind of thing and has its own recipe. I just actually told a story that Juliet. I do a thing where I like to take my character out often because, first of all, when you're working on a set, it can be anywhere from 150 to 300 people, and you sort of have to keep a fluidity where you're aware of everything going on, but you still need to maintain the character, especially if you're working with a dialect, all that kind of stuff. So I like to go out where I interact in the world because I also think that it informs how other people treat you. I decided with Drew, I try to figure out somewhere I've never been before so that I won't get into a conversation, or someone won't be like, oh, I know you from, you're an actress from this, or I know you, or, you know, whatever, why do you have a Russian accent, you know, or something. So I picked a liquor store in Hollywood at night, because I figured I had to have it at night, and I went in, and I was sort of wafting up and down the aisles, and then there was this woman at the register who was having an altercation with the man behind the counter. And she was clearly not very well, and she was like going off, and he was kind of not sure what to do and a little bit exasperated. And so I slowly walked it up to the counter, and he was dealing with her, and he looked at me and he kind of rolled his eyes and like, oh my God, this woman is crazy. I'm dealing with this crazy woman. And he looked at me, and all of a sudden he got really still. And his eyes widened, and I remember like looking at him, and I could see his thoughts go, oh no, another one. And that moment I was like, I think I got you.
My technique was a little less intense. I was so when I was first hired on Buffy, I was vampire girl number 1. I did a makeup test for the vampire makeup. So I went like 3 or 4 different days of just, they would put the prosthetic on and try to see how it looked on camera after putting the makeup on and all of that. And I remember I started getting a little nervous because I was like, I don't know how I'm going to play I've never played a villain before. I don't know what I'm doing. And so I remember I went into the bathroom and I had the prosthetic on my face and I looked in the mirror and I smiled. And I thought, ooh, that's creepy. And so then I just did everything with a smile.
It was amazing how much the prosthetic did work for you. Like I remember the first time I had the prosthetic, and so we were doing the test for it, and I had a similar thing, but with me, it was I just tilted down, and once I tilted down, it had a very feral look, and I was like that, you know. So it's interesting, like it sort of tells you, that makeup tells you a lot when you have it on.
Yeah, I had talked to some people who had worked on Star Trek and other shows where they wore prosthetics, and they had advised me. They said, you know, let the makeup do its job. You don't have to worry about it because the prosthetic will do its job. And my prosthetic was designed to be the most vicious looking out of all the vampire faces, and it cut my vision in half. And then I had the big yellow contact lenses.
The first, they later got them to fit them, but at first,
it was
awful. They cover so much of your eye that you'd be like bumping into things on set. I mean, it's hard to be daunting in scenes and seem dangerous when you were like bumping into the furniture.
Yeah. Well, especially, I mean, at least Drusilla could get away with that.
It's supposed to be a little graceful. A little fluid.
Yeah. I mean, the vampire teeth, I grind my teeth a lot, and I mean, I think I went through like 18 pairs of teeth. Because
a day?
Yeah. Well, as soon as you put it in my mouth, I'm like a chip. Yeah. And I snapped like so many teeth, like in the middle of filming, I just snapped into half, and I'm like, uh-oh, sorry.
Julie, you were in the very first scene that was shot for the show, right? What was that like?
When we went back to shoot the pilot after, and that's when they came up with the Catholic schoolgirl outfit, then that became more exciting to me. But in the beginning, I was kind of like, got this vamp face on, I got this ugly costume, you know. So it wasn't until we went and reshot the pilot, basically, and they started defining her more, that it became more exciting.
I was going to say, I had a really weird thing with the vamp face. It reminded me of saying that. One of the episodes, like I was in vamp face, and I didn't work in it all that much, but it was a day where I was in it probably for about 12 to 16 hours. And this band, I will remain nameless, but like the lead singer of the band was really hitting on me in vamp face. I was like, okay, either I hope he's seen the show, or is he just a really strange guy with you? It was just the weirdest situation. I was like, oh, okay, to each his own.
Juliet, will you tell us a story about the immortal and Julie?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so the episode, I don't know if you remember this, but the episode of Angel where we end up having the threesome with the immortal.
Oh, I like the one.
We got the script, and I read it, and I remember I called you, and I was like, oh my God, I never knew this history that we had this threesome, and you were like, oh yeah. I knew it, and then you go, look, remember that picture? So there's a still of us from the episode Reunion, where I think it's Reunion where we get flipped with the car, and we're hugging, like I'm sort of crying, and then we're hugging, and she goes, well, just while I'm on the phone, just look at that picture. And I was like, what are you talking about? She's like, just look at the picture. And I look at the picture and she goes, where's your hand? And I look and it's cradling her ass. It was always there.
When we shot that scene, remember I had to disrobe. I had to change. And it was WB nudity, but it meant they wanted the naked back. And anyway, I was totally fine with it. And I know David and James really well and you. And I was like, this is gonna be fine. It's like family. And then we get on set. And I literally dropped the robe and was like, I couldn't remember a single line. It was I think I turned bright red. And then it was fine. But that first take was I'm naked. And that wasn't fully. I mean, I had privacy and stuff on, but it was I still was kind of
All right. Seeing we started. Are there a lot of kids in the audience?
Just cover that.
Scene on Angel where Dave and I are having sex, and James's character comes in and is seeing my face, and we staged the scene, and they're like, we keep seeing your face, Johnny, and we want the reveal, and they were staging all these ways, and I go, I know what everyone's thinking, and I kind of got on all fours, and turned around, yeah, we can't do that. Well, you wanted to not see my face. That's the fix.
Can you talk about the fire hydrant scene from Angel?
Oh, the fire hydrant scene?
Oh my God. You were so sick that night.
And it was so cold.
It was the coldest day. Okay, so Los Angeles did not get that cold, but it was record low cold. We were downtown Los Angeles
at night,
in the middle of the weird, crazy hour at night. You had a raging flu. You were completely sick. I made the mistake.
That was back when you worked when you were sick. now you don't go to work when you're sick.
Exactly. And you were and I made the mistake of going I never get sick when I'm working. Right? And of course, caught your horrendous flu. But the thing that was so crazy about that is we were rehearsing the scene, and not only were you not feeling well, but we had to do that fire hydrant scene where you get sobbed. But the crazy thing is we did the rehearsal, they showed us how they were going to splash the water and everything, and the very first take, I don't know what happened, if they got excited or whatever, they cranked up that water, and we were hit. And we kept trying to do the scene, and I'm I'm crying, because the scene is crying with a burn on my face, and do you guys remember the dialogue? You might know it more than I do, but I was saying, my something, and I'm moaning, and we kept going through it, and with this deluge of water, and Julie burning, and me trying to go, doing the scene, and it kept going, and then it cut, and we were like, what was that? And everyone started laughing so hard because we were just trying to stay upright and doing the scene and being really good workers and trying to get through.
They also said they had heated the water, but by the time it went up in the air and poured back down on us, it was freezing. You could feel it was warm coming out, but when it got back down, it was so cold. Yeah, that was a long night. I mean, we love being waterboarded.
So on my show, Vampire Reviews, we talk about how vampires are metaphors for the human condition, metaphors and symbols for things that we relate to in the real world. So playing two very different vampires, what would you say each of your vampires was a metaphor for or a symbol of in the context of the show?
Well, I would like to think Darla is a symbol for anti-aging. A quest for, eternal youth. I don't know. I'm not that deep, you guys. What do you think Darla is a metaphor for?
What do you think?
Entrepreneur. I mean, listen, I used to joke around that she would kill for wardrobe. So if you walk past and you were in a really nice outfit, you were her next victim. But she would custom those.
I would say, Drew obviously had some mental health struggles, but I also would say she really was a loving character. Like she was still, that was one of the things that was so interesting about the writing and the range of the character, is that she really was a character who was very loving and giving love, and sort of loving and needy in love as well. And so I would say that, love. So, my questions here. With a little bit of murder and mayhem.
So look at it. So which vampire would you say was the worst? Which was the most villainous of the baddest of the bad?
I would say we were both equally villainous. One thing about Drusilla, we were definitely, you didn't want to mess with Darla. But I would say there's something about, because Drew was so unpredictable that you didn't know what was going to happen or what she could do, that there's something scary about that in real life when you meet someone who's really unpredictable, you're like, whoa, so there's that element. But I would say we were both bad.
Yeah, and Darla just liked to play with her food. Nothing wrong with that.
So what was your favorite scene to shoot together?
I know what mine was. Mine was in Angel, the episode in Reunion when we got to the wine cellar scene where we got to team up and eat all the lawyers.
Oh, that was delicious.
They were delicious. Because it was really, and I remember at the time when we read that storyline, we actually thought it was so cool that we were teaming up together and wreaking havoc in Los Angeles, and we were hoping in a way that we would get a few more episodes of seeing what that would entail, and then that got truncated, but I really enjoyed shooting that with you.
This was the four of us together. The one was also a great scene. The scene we talked about was the one. The four of us with the one. But also the night of the Boxer Rebellion.
Except that, that whole walk, it was scripted as the power walk of the four of us, but I had torn a ligament on a shoot on Disney Ranch 2 nights before, really badly, and so my foot was literally 4 or 5 times the size it normally is and blue. And so we tried walking, and they were like, oh my God, because I was basically limping. And they're like, yeah, that's not going to work. And so then we were trying to figure out what to do, and then James and I were like, oh, what if he lifts me up, and it's kind of our epic love affair. And he's like, yeah, I can do it.
So what are you working on now?
Unfortunately, because of the pandemic and the strike, I'm what we call fun employed. Which is good. I'm enjoying my life. But Hollywood's starting to crank back up slowly, so, but I'm enjoying time with my family, my husband and my dogs, and traveling. I leave tomorrow for vacation. So it's a nice freedom. I've been working pretty steadily since I was 13 years old, so, a little time off is, it's good for the soul. And I do have a project in development that I've been working on. It's a passion project of mine. We're getting ready to take it to pitch out. I have a writer, director, and producer on board, and we have our script ready finally. So the development side is very slow. It's a very slow process, but it's new for me to be creating something, and it's something that it's based on a true story, and it's a project I'm extremely passionate about, and so I'm actually very excited about going out and pitching it out and seeing if we can get it made.
I had my directorial feature debut, and it's worldwide streaming and Blu-ray release. The movie is called A Place on the Dead, and it's streaming on all different platforms. We also have the Blu-ray has nearly 5 hours of bonus extras.
It's a vampire movie.
It is a vampire metaphor, and I star in the movie. Gary Oldman is in it. Ron Perlman, Robert Patrick, Lance Henriksen, best-selling author Anne Rice. The only time she ever appeared in a movie acting. It was an incredible project to work on. We had an incredible ride. We swept all of the festivals. We literally only submitted to 21 festivals and not only got into all 21, but won 12 feature of the festival, 9 best director, 6 best actors for me. Like, just the awards were amazing. And we have a group of people that have grown up around the film, because this film uses the vampire metaphor. It's sort of a genre-bending, elevated horror, which explores the repercussions of growing up under the sway of narcissism and psychological abuse. And we've had the most powerful community grow up around the film. We have some of our A Place Among the Deadheads, as they've named themselves here. And like the Grateful Dead, they come to every single screening event, and they fly into live, like whether they're online or fly in. And it's just been an amazing community. I love you guys, all my heart. You've been amazing being on this journey with you. And so has been going on. And then I had played a character on Bosch named Rita Tedesco, and I recurred as Rita, and they brought me back, on Bosch Legacy to recur as well, so I've been shooting that. We've obviously been working hard on the makeup line and some of the new products coming down the line, and then I also just recorded an audiobook series for Big Finish, which works in conjunction with the BBC, and I've worked with them before on Doctor Who audios, and it is hysterical. It's like one of the funniest things I've ever in my life read. I was reading it out loud, and it is another vampire project. And I said, I don't really think I want to do another vampire project. And they were like, please, we wrote it for you, we just read it. I started to read it. I started laughing out loud, which I never do. I'm not that kind of person when I read something like, that's funny. That's funny. And so I was laughing. And Deb said, what's going on? And I was like, oh my God, you have to read this. So I'm really excited. It's a very, very different character for me. I kind of talk like the Crown, like Queen Elizabeth. It's so different and so funny. So that's going to be coming out actually in October. And then, anyway, so lots of stuff. And then I also, when we finish up here today, I have a special announcement about something else new. So you guys stay. And I'll share the announcement with you, because we're announcing it here for the first time also.
I feel like I'm lazy.
I had no time to eat. It was like a really busy day.
It was insane. I had the same thing. I mean, Deb and I realized we didn't eat. We didn't drink water. We didn't go to the loo, as they say in England. It was just so jam-packed. There was a certain point too where it felt like, oh, I'm melting, because it was quite warm in there, but not as warm, where Chris was.
Come on, my house. Yeah, that was unfortunate. That was the week my HVAC system decided to say, oh, that's enough. Yeah.
No more air conditioning in the middle of the heat wave.
Oh, and it was a heat wave, which was ridiculous. Of course, that's what would happen. But
really couldn't tell where I was.
Yeah, I was busy though. I was running around making sure all the links were working for the QR codes, and I was the man in the chair. I had all the computer screens in front of me, and I'm making sure everything was operational for when the launch and the announcement came, that people would have something to click on when.
Exactly. You were the wizard behind the curtain.
There's nothing to see here. Don't pay any attention to that sweaty man behind the curtain.
In his underwear.
Yeah. He's dying.
So we actually had our buddy Shelby Novak from Scare You to Sleep, one of our podcast buddies, play you. We brought you out on an iPad, and she Vanna Whited it over to the stage.
She was very believable.
It was great. On the end of the panel with Julie and Marcia and Hellmouth, were really excited for us to make the announcement. We had coordinated with them, of course, ahead of time. It was so much fun to get the audience interaction and all the videos that we made there that we've been posting. It's just been such a fun ride already.
So, I get to announce something that I'm so excited about. Slaying It with Juliet Landa. It is the first of its kind Buffy rewatch podcast with cast member. This has never been done before. Okay, I am going to co-host with my Scoobies. And my Scoobies, I want to bring up Frank, Scoobie Frank. I want you to come up. And Scoobie Chris was supposed to be here, but had an emergency. So we have Scoobie Chris on an iPad. And Slay It has everything that we all love. So it encompasses the heartfelt nostalgia. It has personal behind-the-scenes stories. It's also a fresh evolution and a continuation, an exploration with new content and new entertainment as well. So we are going to take the idea of the traditional podcast and evolve it.
Chris today is being played by Shelby Scott of the podcast Scare You to Sleep, because Chris had a little issue at home, if anybody's a fan of that. I am so excited to do this with you. This was like, we started talking, we met at New York Comic Con.
We did, and we started brewing this idea.
And then we started talking, and it's just like, we started talking. It turns out we're really both big fans of the show Columbo.
Yeah.
And it was like one of those things, the more we talk, it became that scene in Step Brothers. Did we just become best friends? Yep.
It was literally like the minute I met Frank on a round table press thing. And the minute I met Frank, I was like, do you want to come to our live New York premiere? I like you. And he did, and it's like amazing.
Her and her husband were so nice to me that I was convinced they mistook me for somebody else.
Chris, do you want to say something before we keep running on and not letting you talk on your iPad?
It's just keep going. This is fantastic.
But no, so Hellmouth Con was an amazing experience. Too bad Chris couldn't make it. It was, yeah, I mean, that was a wild weekend because it was one of those things where it's, as a fan, and to be on that stage for me, it was like, really, I can't, this is so surreal. I called Chris up afterwards. I'm like, I don't understand what just happened. I was walking around like I'd been concussed because I was just what just happened?
But in a good way.
Yeah, in a good way. I was like, what just happened? Like, how did we really were like, how did this happen? I just got off stage announcing this show. And it just didn't, it was the most bizarre moment of my life up to this point.
It still doesn't compute, really.
It still doesn't compute. And we're like deep into, by the time you hear this, we're deep into this right now. And it's still like, how is this happening?
Which all the good things in life, a lot of them are sort of like, ooh, this is great. Why, this delicious thing, how is this happening?
I was committed to I'm like, all right, it's going to be diminishing returns from here on out. That's it. All right. I could accept that. Something like this comes around. It's like, wait. No, my best days are behind me. And they weren't all that great. So yeah, that's it. So thank you for joining us on just this little tour of Hellmouth Con, this amazing weekend we had. Next up, I guess we're going into episode 1.
Yeah, don't guess, because we are.
Well, I think so. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we are, actually. Yeah, I don't know why I was making that ambiguous.
Natural. I don't know where we'll head in this Buffy Rewatch podcast. If you're enjoying Slaying It, leave us a review on Apple, Spotify, your podcast medium of choice, especially on Spotify. On Spotify, you can leave comments on episodes particular. So
which I
let
love.
us know, which is fantastic. And it's the easiest way for you guys to communicate with us.
Oh, hit us up also on our Twitter. Do we have that yet?
We don't have that yet, but we're going to have that by the time this airs.
Yeah.
So Slaying It Podcast on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and
YouTube.
Oh, yes, YouTube.
Sorry for yelling YouTube.
No, that's thank you.
Until next time, go out and slay it.